All right, brothers, we have Elias Kraft here with us, all the way from Austria, Salzburg. But I'll let him introduce himself. Elias, what's your age? What do you do? Who is Elias?
Ciao, people. I'm Elias. I'm from Sweden, 22 years old, 23 in May. Um, I study right now in school in Austria, in Salzburg, a dance academy. Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
about it
So,
for the short introduction.
yeah, what was it that was going on in your life that made you want to partner with me and become a part of the Reboot Intensive? What was the reason?
It was a lot for me about feeling isolated, even though I had friends around me.
Hmm.
I read a quote today, actually,
Hmm.
from Carl Jung, which
Hmm.
is being lonely is not about not having people around you. It's not being able to express what's important to you.
Hmm. And you would say
And
that that's the situation you found yourself in.
I felt I could honestly not connect to people deeply.
Mm,
So when you feel you have friends, but only to the third layer of the onion, like not
mm,
all the way in where you want to have this
mm,
honest with people. And it was very apparent for me because being in the dance world where people tend to be a lot just everywhere and feelings and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and when we had these things in school of like, okay, now you are going to create something from
Yes.
yours, create
Mm,
something that's from you, like nothing would ever come up for me. And
hmm,
I was questioning myself of like, okay, am I even a creative person?
mm,
But I knew I was.
hmm,
Because back in the days, I started drawing a lot. I was doing everything, playing music, and so it was really frustrating.
hmm,
And my loneliness came from being in school, not feeling home with the people I went to. I went to a technical school, so a lot of math, a lot of physics, um, and the normal language,
hmm,
geography, history,
hmm,
yada yada. And I just felt so out of place in this world, like in this
hmm,
little school world. So it would start with me going to the toilet
hmm,
on in like during class time because I just
hmm,
wanted to be by myself. And I started watching YouTube on the toilet because that was more interesting.
hmm,
Even though I didn't watch bullshit YouTube, I just YouTube. So not there. I was not there.
hmm,
And then when YouTube had nothing more to offer, the more stimulation that I knew about was porn.
hmm,
So I started masturbating in school,
hmm. Okay,
and
okay,
then I got hooked on. I feel lonely. Okay, masturbate.
okay. So when did it get to the point? And thank you for sharing that. That's very interesting to note that you're a creative person. You're an individual that was already in an environment where you're required to express yourself creatively, yet you feel disconnected from everyone. You end up isolating and watching YouTube. That leads to pornography because you're in the perfect environments to cultivate your addict. So when did porn itself become a problem? Were you sitting in the toilet one day and going like, holy shit, like, I have a problem? When did you realize that you may have needed help?
I don't have an exact point. I don't have
Mm,
an exact, but for sure a period when I realized that as soon as I felt an uncomfortable feeling, which was more towards the negative side for sure, the sadness, loneliness, non-appreciative, self-hate, irritation towards everything,
mm,
no
mm,
reason.
mm,
The first thing that would come into my mind in any situation, so even around people, even around my family, even in my bed with the phone, for example,
mm,
it would always be, okay, I want to see boobs.
mm,
And when I started to, during this time also, I started to read a lot of, not a lot, but I started how to say, because I never finished these books, but I started with a lot of books
yeah.
regarding self-awareness.
So you were reading a lot of books on self-awareness, but never
Yes,
finishing them. Yeah.
yeah. And so when I started to, it's a bit, it's similar to what you also show in the program of this, take a step back, listen to what the person inside it is talking about. And as well, what this book is talking about.
Yeah.
And then I would just see myself going like, why the fuck do you go to this solution when you know it drains the life out of you? That would be my logic in the beginning. Like I'm shooting life force out of my body, and then I go, oh, and then I collapse into bed. And I compared it to a lot of my friends around me who would smoke weed before going to bed, because that would make them just collapse and not have any dreams because they were afraid of having dreams. And I saw myself as that, but worse.
Interesting. So being a self-aware person and realizing that about yourself, you realize, okay, cool, I need help. Was the program what you expected?
No. No.
Tell us a little bit about that.
It was very much more clear, actually. To be honest, it was much more like, oh, okay, I just have to do this. Like it was very structured for me, which was like, wow, because I was on YouTube before with the nofap and the shit a lot, and videos of like, yeah, I don't masturbate anymore. It feels amazing. I haven't done it in 5 years. You know, just no. And I tried it, of course, and it didn't work. And so everything just felt cloudy. And so when I saw you on YouTube, that was where I got your program from, your videos, your short videos. I was like, okay, let's try. And it was very reassuring, overwhelming, but reassuring.
True.
To see this huge pile of new. Because I consider myself naturally as a not organized person. Very instinctive.
You are an artist. You are a creative person.
Exactly. So it was a lot, and I couldn't take it in all in the beginning. But then I said, okay, take what you like, take not what you like, take what you can now, and then add, add. And I'll go back to, okay, which exercise did I not do? Add that. See how it works for you. Yeah.
And so how did this contribute to some of your goals? You come in scattered, isolated, and isolating. There's structure. This isn't just random nofap videos, superpowers, blah, blah, blah. There's a step-by-step way. There's a lot of clarity on what you need to do.
Yeah.
How does this help you with your goals, and how do you evolve? Because unlike other guys, you were with us for about a year. How did you evolve? How did you change throughout the year? Because I'm sure there are many other things that were happening in your life outside of rebooting.
For sure, I feel very much more self-independent and self-confident is the word. Like my spine is tall, and I know it. I really don't recognize myself. I can even see it on pictures, you know?
I can't even recognize you from when you first joined. It's crazy. I'm just like, who is this guy? The energy is very different.
Yeah,
but go ahead. Yeah.
It's, I mean, just to have a morning routine was, you know, in the beginning, it was like, oh my God, I love sleeping. And I was like, oh my God, shit. And then I just started small. And for me, I'm like, it's such a change in mindset of I can do this, because it started with small things. And now I'm like, okay, of course I have bad days still when I doubt myself. But on a normal level now, I feel that I can calculate what I want, and I can calculate and analyze the way there. Instead of, I feel I want there, to go there or to achieve this goal or to feel this way. And I really don't know how to put it into good words because I want to make it to the spot.
It sounds like you're saying that in the past there were goals that you wanted to achieve and you would wish, but you didn't have a path to get there. How does this relate to your behavior with pornography? Was that inability to achieve a goal, was that something that your behavior with pornography was taking away from you? And did the structure of the program help you? I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. I just want to find out how your experience in the program helped you become a person who could see the destination that he wanted and actually move towards it.
For me, it's about sorting the boxes in the mind. And to not have a big pile of stuff that I still like and don't like. But now I feel I have a library and I can find the books that I want to read.
Okay.
It's not one big mess of stuff on the floor. And it makes it so much easier to take care of yourself, first and foremost for me.
What do you mean by take care of yourself?
Eat in time. Because if I compare myself to before, it was, and I still do it sometimes. I let myself do it sometimes, but I know how to get back immediately now. And get back to my routine, what I know I have to do to feel good tomorrow. So go to bed in time. Eat a dinner 2 hours-ish before going to bed, so that when I start sleeping, my belly is not taking an hour to digest the food. Because that's 1 hour of my sleep then.
Yeah.
That's meant for recovery and dreaming and stuff. And so I just feel I have such a good base, really. And the program really helped me to realize how simple it is to get a base.
So this is amazing, Elias, what you're sharing right now with us. And I think this is expected because you're so advanced. I'll call you a veteran rebooter. But what it sounds like you're sharing is, surprisingly, you're not talking much about porn, but you're talking more about the structure of your life has changed.
Yeah.
You know,
and
through
porn
the program.
Porn was for sure it just happened to be that I had been exposed to it before and have been in groups of guys where you talked about it and you objectified the bodies of women. And so this was a very natural way, not natural, I cannot call it natural, but it was an easy way for me to cope with what I didn't have and what I needed. And what I realized that I needed very quickly if I wanted to become a dancer or an artist or just grow up, just grow up.
Got it.
Because living at home, it was just, dad, everybody makes food, like parents makes food. I had very easy time in school, normal school. So nothing was ever hard, really. Every sport I tried I was good at it, naturally. So I never had this, I talked about this with my friend the other day, that I never had this feeling as a child of I lost. And so as soon as this came to me of like, oh, you cannot organize yourself, you cannot structure what you want, you cannot achieve what you want right now, I was just like, I don't know what to do. I want to feel good again. And it was just a panic kind of. And so now I'm just super much more calmer in the mind. And it's so beautiful.
Awesome.
Really.
And you started off with talking about loneliness and isolation. What's your life like now when it comes to that part of your life?
First off, I spend my days with people until I go to bed. Really.
Okay.
Because in school you have classes with people. I live in an apartment with four other persons. We have a living room.
It's no longer overwhelming for you?
No. And what's really good, I remember you said in the beginning of my journey in this
Mm.
program that you would, as a student, you lived in a dorm or something, and
Yeah,
you would have
yeah.
the door to your room, you would have it open.
Mm.
This I do also, because
Mm.
then just outside of my room is basically the living room.
Ah.
So nowadays I'm really not in my room a lot. It's for
Mm.
sleeping, it's for intimacy,
Mm-hmm.
it's for maybe playing some video games.
Yeah,
Because I
and
have a
that's it.
friend that I like to play video games with because we don't live together.
Ah, okay, okay.
So that's our like catching up time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Friend from Sweden.
yeah, exactly.
Cool, cool.
Uh,
Well, let me ask you
so
this, Elias, because of the time we have. I think a lot of guys are going to be able to relate to this. What would you say to men, to any guy who is kind of where you were when you started, who is isolating, who is questioning their creativity or whatever their natural talent is, and who found themselves in this loop? The loop is they're on YouTube searching for self improvement material, consuming a lot of wonderful materials, so much information, but really no structure. And maybe they've come across my stuff and they're still like, yeah, JK sounds structured, but I'm not sure. I've been following JK for 3 years, but I don't know if I should hop into any of his programs. What do you have to say to them? Because you're a student. And as you know, my programs are not the most affordable, but you made the
yeah,
decision to join. Yeah. Honestly, what do you have to tell them?
I would say if you have a feeling inside that you need help, that's a gut that you should trust. Because for sure the mind comes in the way, which mine did, of the money situation, which is real for sure.
Mm,
I took help of my
definitely.
parents and I told them about my addiction and they helped me pay the recovery in the beginning
Mm,
to see if it was something for me.
mhm. Okay.
Yeah, I would really just recommend it as also why not?
Mm,
Why are you and me like it's comfortable to suffer from that I know now from the outside. This is who I am, you know. This is just that's me. I'm just a pervert. I live my life. I do my job. I go to my school, and then I go home, and then I dive into what's good for me. But what about being open? What about stretching your chest? You know,
mm,
metaphorically.
mhm,
So dive into it, and if it's not for you, then pass on. But then you
mm,
know, and then you can check or uncheck a box without you don't have to leave it. Same as doing a list of what to do in the weekend.
mm,
You know,
mhm.
just write it at least and try it. And if you're like me and you feel that you need structure in your life, just sign up for the program because you're gonna get it.
Mm,
And don't be too harsh. Don't be too harsh on yourself.
mm,
Personally, I would say,
mm,
don't say I have to do all of it.
mm,
Give it time and work.
mm. I think.
As with training your body, you
Mhm,
know when you know when the gym session is done, but you
mhm,
know you go tomorrow and you work also.
mm. Yeah, I think one of the things I remember about you was that you were one of the guys in the program who you were very open to admit that there was still a lot for you to learn after 90 days. And then, you stayed on month after month, learning at your own pace,
Yeah.
till you got to a point where financially, and I also told you that you're good to go. Like you'll survive,
You'll fly. You can fly.
You're
Yeah.
fine, you're fine. You can leave the nest.
Yeah.
So it's always great to see guys get to a point where they can do it on their own. Just to conclude this, Elias, a lot of guys are gonna watch this. It's gonna be out there. What do you have to say from your heart to other men about their porn addiction, the importance of recovery? Since you've been on this journey, you've come from a place of no control to a place of control. You may not be perfect, but you're definitely living the life you want and going for the things you want. What do you have to say to other guys who are still stuck in the cycle of relapse?
I would say that I know the guilt you're feeling or the shame and the feeling of being a loser. But I also don't feel, I know now that it's not my fault. It's no one else's fault. And that I should not blame myself, and you should not blame yourself that this was the road you took. Because it's from everything you know, and it's where you grew up, which you did not choose. It's what you saw when you were little or a teenager, or what's just around you, your environment. And to take a step back and to say, okay, that happened to me. Now I'm gonna change from the inside. And to not be harsh on yourself to say that you're a loser, and to blame yourself for taking the decision to becoming an addict. But now, when you're aware, you can take the step out of it. And I feel it's so clear in my head right now, these two worlds of blaming what's happened to you and then taking responsibility in my own hands. And at the same time being fine with, if I do something now and it doesn't work out, then I go, okay, did I really want it? Or did I just want to try it? It's very different. Because if I really wanted it, I would just keep going. If I really want to try it, and I was like, okay, that was cool, but not for me. And I know, okay, ciao with you, next.
Good. A lot of that centers around self-awareness and taking responsibility. Elias is kind of famous in our group for, we have this routine we do in the morning for finding our feelings. And Elias is famous in the group, even now, because we always add, we still, when new guys come in, we still say, we would not have this circle of emotions if Elias did not do the research and find it online. Now they're like dozens and dozens of guys all over the world. Elias found online a circle with so many different emotions. Now we have dozens of guys all over the world who take what he found and put it in front of their journal to identify the emotions in the morning. So you know that and your name is still tagged there. We always say like, hey, Elias found this. You know, all the guys, Orestes and Nikolai and everybody still say that, you know. Yeah. So how would you describe your experience in the program, in the Reboot Intensive in one word?
Refocus.
Refocused.
Yeah.
Refocused. Refocused on
what to put importance on, what to not care about, what to not take seriously. Almost a shift or a change of values.
I agree. And if anyone could have met Elias a year ago versus the man I'm talking to today, I think you would definitely agree that he's a man who is refocused on his goals. Elias, I'm so glad that you were gracious enough to give us this opportunity to interview you, catch up with you after a year. I know things are shut down and will become a little bit quiet on your end because of the coronavirus. Something we're all going to pay.
Mad. Like they're closing borders and my classmates cannot even go home. Like it's really, like everything is like, oh my God.
Yeah, well, stay safe out there. You guys border Italy, right? Just like a red zone. So stay safe out there and don't be a stranger, man. Feel free to reach out anytime, okay?
Thank you.
All right. I appreciate you, man.